Ooh, looking out at your true colors, I know what they are. There's just one. And the color is love. You know, our overarching theme in November has been the journey to compassion, the journey of compassion. Because I mentioned that one of the greatest outpicturings of love is gratitude for life, for one another, for all the good things in the world and the tough things that happen too. But another amazing outpicturing of love is compassion. And this week's theme is love one another. And as I mentioned before, that was Jesus' big deal, love one another. And we have one word for love. The Greeks, I looked it up on, and you know, it went from 3 words for love in Greek, and it went down to 9 words for love in Greek. And so I just picked the 3 easiest, a little easier to remember. But there's eros love, which is romantic, passionate love, which is great or not. And then there's brotherly love, philia, brotherly love, which is coming together and love, understanding as a family, and just feeling that connection to one another. You know, if you're in a battle together, the reason you can do such courageous, unthinkable things is because you know your brothers and sisters have your back. And that's philia love. And then the other love, the ultimate love, is agape. And agape is the universal love. God's love. Unconditional love. All-encompassing love for humanity. And how God has shown this love to each and every one of us, everyone in the whole world, everyone, past and forward, and everyone. God imbues its creative expression, all of us, imbues us with its likeness and its divine image, and also puts in infinite creativity and potentiality. And that's the essence of every creative expression of God. We are imbued with this essence, this color of love. We may define it as understanding. We may define it as cooperation and connection. We're all imbued with that, and that's what we're meant to do. But somewhere along the way in this journey, we get off track. We've gotten off track because since we're here for self-discovery, learning about ourselves in life, we've gotten shifted from the all-knowing essence of who we are into diminishing ourselves and thinking less than. In searching for some topics on compassion, there's a book written by one of our favorite authors. It was written in 1979, and it's called A Spirituality Called Compassion. But it didn't stop there. It says a spirituality called compassion. And to get it right, the healing of the global village, Humpty Dumpty and us. That intrigued me, how Humpty Dumpty fit into the healing of the world and compassion. And in a little further inspection, I don't know, it must be my kindergarten days, but I kind of like those nursery rhymes. And, you know, they're really fun and they have different levels to them. Well, Humpty Dumpty is really a metaphor. It's a little poem about pain, brokenness, and bringing things whole again, or at least the attempt to bring things whole. And I do believe that's the situation our world, our life individually, and our world collectively, where we are right now. There's pain, there's brokenness, and there's a desire for coming together again. And we need to figure out how to do that. We need to figure out how to bring things back together again. And so this Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Why did he sit on a wall? But anyway, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Yeah, so that first question is, this metaphor is Humpty Dumpty is an egg, but an egg person, alive, vulnerable, and growing, and curious. So that's the egg of us, the little Humpty Dumpty as a person. That's a microcosm. But then the macrocosm of Humpty Dumpty is that it's the worldview that this is the egg of life, the whole world living together as a microcosm, a macrocosm of life, connecting like we do in our bodies. We've got this life in the world. Yet Humpty Dumpty went and sat on a wall. Why would he do that? Do you feel kind of like you're climbing the walls right now? I do. I mean, we're kind of stuck in a world we don't know, we're not used to. So we're climbing the walls. And why would Humpty Dumpty climb a wall? Well, I feel like climbing the wall because I don't know what's going on. I don't know anything. Really, I've known less than I've ever known. It's like, I want to climb the wall. Do I want to get out of here? Am I looking for a bigger view? What's going on? There's so many reasons why we might climb a wall, to see a bigger perspective. When we forget just what we talked about, the agape love, we have everything we need right in us, right here, right now. But I'm sure Humpty Dumpty didn't remember that. He forgot it. And so he went, oh, I'm climbing this wall. And, okay, I need Humpty Dumpty before this one. I'm coming to that one. That's a cool picture, though. Anyway, there's Humpty Dumpty. Now, Humpty Dumpty looks really excited here, right? Because he climbed to the top of the wall. He might have just a little bit of ego expansion here. I got up, and it had to be a really tall wall. You know why? Because he had a really great fall. So look how excited he is. He's sitting there, he's feeling happy, he's feeling cocky, he probably can look around at everybody, feels a little bit better than, holier than thou feeling. He feels pretty good about himself. Until he gets filled with fear. And fear, yes, some fear is really good. It's really helpful to have fear sometimes. It keeps us out of danger. But when we have really expanded fear, unsubstantiated fear, fear that's grown way out of proportion, just not that fear that just keeps us awake and aware to be safe, but the fear that grows too big, it causes some big, big problems. It can fear, when it's out of place, the wrong kind of fear, takes us off balance, off center. It takes our strength away. And most importantly, it weakens our heart. And that's the kind of fear we're dealing with right now. Now, we can get hold of this fear because actually, that kind of fear is a choice. The instinctual fear that keeps us out of danger is more innate in us. But the fear that grows so big, it chokes our heart, it takes us out of center, and it takes us off balance, is a choice we make. It's like those two wolves inside. It's the one we feed. Are we going to feed our fear, or are we going to feed our love and faith and positivity and openness and growth? We get to choose which one we're going to fear. Well, Humpty Dumpty forgot that too. And so he had a great fall. He had a great fall, and poof, he was broken in pieces. However, Humpty Dumpty broke, and he didn't die. You know how we know that? Because all the king's horses and all the king's men came to try to put Humpty Dumpty together again. But why did they send the government in? The government isn't going to solve our problems, okay? We have to do it on our own. Where were the king's women? And the community. That's what Humpty needed. So, Humpty fell apart, and he was broken apart because of fear and problems, and he needed to be put together again. But if you think about it, we all have potentiality in us. And if you're going to make an omelet, you've got to break an egg, right? If we're going to do something bigger, we can get broken open into something more. But we got to do the work. Now, we are very lucky because the bigger picture the bigger picture, the wider view, can help us see a better perspective. And now we can have that other picture, please. We are very blessed in this time and age we live that we've gotten to see the world from a very big perspective. Out in outer space, we see this from a spaceship. We see this world. Well, when I look at that, do you see fear? Do you see separateness? I see beauty and connection and balance and wholeness. That's what I see. When I see that, we have to remember that. You know, when Martin Luther King Jr. was asked, how do you go into areas where people want to kill you? How do you do that? Wouldn't you be overcome with fear? And he said, we need to love something more than our fear. That's how we stay alive. And I think that's a good lesson for all of us. Because right now there's so much fear in the world about just people not getting along, a virus that's here, all these things going on. But if we can find something to love that's bigger than this fear we hear so much about, that's what's not only going to save us, it's going to save this planet we live on. We've got to come together. The planet's going to live, but we've got to decide how we're going to start treating each other. So I have a thought. And I remember Jean Houston used to say, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much room. But she didn't mean the edge of the wall where you can teeter-totter. She meant the edge of your mind, that creative mind that's filled with potential. Because I'll tell you, as Em said so beautifully in her reading and opening this morning, love is always the answer to any question all the time. But in the middle of that equation, we are the solution. We come up with the answer. We're the one that facilitates that answer to that. So yes, love is the answer, but we are the solution. And we have to remember that. So on the edge of our mind, that's right there on the end of our mind, you know there's always something egging us on to a new possibility, to a new creative idea, to a new way of doing things. There's always that. It's the divine urge in us. It's the divine urge that wants something more. It's the divine urge that wants the greater expression of life. And that's in us, but we have to be willing, because when we're so wound up and tight in our fixed beliefs, our fixed right and wrong and yes and no, I bet that actually that wall that Humpty Dumpty fell off of was the wall of dualism, the either-or thinking that gets us in a bunch of trouble. It gets us in trouble. It gets us polarized. And if we can get to the edge and start expanding, and if the fear comes up, we start having a relationship with that. Well, why did you come to me today? What do you have to teach me? What am I to know? We can start living in a more open and fluid understanding of life. More open and fluid understanding of life. And that's when we open ourselves up. We open our hearts to greater understanding that we can truly change the world and change ourselves. I don't have any question. Practice it. It works. We can do it. So when Humpty Dumpty was broken open, you know, falling isn't always bad. We can have a bad fall, but we can also fall in love, fall into the idea of new possibilities and new understanding. We can fall into the writing of a new story. Okay, this is the way I used to think it was. I'm sure you've done all of this, all of you, everyone, but you rewrite the story so there's a new story going on. So here's what I think Humpty Dumpty might write. Oh, Humpty Dumpty sat divided in fear. Humpty Dumpty was lonely. Nothing was clear. But when neighbors embraced compassion together, Humpty was reminded, we always have each other. And I imagine in his new story, he climbed a shorter wall. He climbed on that wall, he looked out, he could see others, and then he jumped off the wall and joined a community. Isn't that a better story? That we're in this together? I like that one much better, that we can be in it together. We're part of it instead of leaving him alone. For the king's men and horses, what do the horses know about healing? But anyway, a broken egg. Anyway, I'm not sure about all of that, but we've got to do this for ourselves. So this would be our prayer wall Sunday, my favorite Sunday always. So we're going to have to do that together. We're going to have to do it in our mind's eye. Now, our teaching we have in the Science of Mind, religious science, we have a 5-step prayer. And so I just want you to feel this with me. So we create the field of prayer. That's the energy and consciousness that Jesus lived in, a field of prayer, a thankfulness to God always. And that's why such healing was possible, such miracles were possible. So if we just understand in this moment, truly know, even though we don't feel it maybe in our own lives at our own level, that God is all there is nothing else. That God is love and light and peace and possibility, whatever word, wherever you're healing, prosperity, whatever word you're needing right now, that quality of goodness, that's what God is, because we can just take the pieces down and hold them in our life, the little pieces of the truth of God at any moment. So God is all there is, with all the truths, holding all the truths and goodness of life. And the second step is we're one with that. Just like we said in the beginning, that agape love, we've got all of that likeness, divine likeness in us, that possibility and potential. That's the truth. Then the third step of prayer is we just simply know, we know the power of our mind to know the truth. As we connect with the bigger mind, there's a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and we can use it. We hook into that, and then we can absolutely know in our being, our prayer, what we request, because we're in alignment with good, in alignment with oneness, that it is done. We just know it. We give thanks, and that's our thankfulness. We give thanks for it. We release it, and it is done. So I'm going to read a quote from Ernest Holmes, because it's so imperative in our prayer wall. That's why our practitioners and ministers come up here, because they're tuned in. They're already plugged in, tuned in to spirit, to God, to goodness, to possibility. That's their work. That's the practitioner and minister's work. And a minister is always a practitioner first. That's what tuning in. So I want you, and if you want to close your eyes and just listen to this. I've read it before. It's a visual. It's something we can visualize. He says, our aim is to find our true center. That's our aim in life, to find our true center. The divine person within us and with everyone. This person, this divine person, has one hand, just a vibrational hand, an outstretching, an energy. One hand in the hand of God, and one outstretched to community. Outstretched to humanity, outstretched, so we bring the two together. We are divinely human, we connect the two. And he says from this place, the one who finds himself in God will discover God in others. She will look through different eyes than the one who thinks they are alone. He, she, they draw strength and information from life itself, because no one can live in this life and be whole without whatever their teaching, their word, their understanding of God is. And that's what we need right now to understand. When we're in that alignment of amazing grace, when we're just flowing, that out-picturing, that overflowing of the essence and goodness of God's grace, we cannot help but love one another. We just can't. We just can't, because that's the out-picturing of the job we came here to do. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes right now. We're going to be in this prayer wall right now in this moment. I just want you to put your feet on the floor, because this is holy ground. This right here is holy ground. So feel yourself connected, plugged in, tuned in alignment with Spirit, right from the top of your head down into the earth, feeling our oneness with the all that is. And whatever your prayer is this morning, just know that it's in this field of possibility, of healing, of abundance, of love, of cooperation, of goodness, of joy, all of it right here. And we are here right now to restore the community of the world, to restore ourselves in oneness with life and that beautiful planet we call home, that global village that we call home. We're here to restore that community of understanding, first and foremost with forgiveness. Just forgiving ourselves for our wrongdoing and forgiving others. We're on this path, this journey of discovery. We trip, we fall, we make mistakes. We forgive each other, not 7 times, but 7 times 70. We forgive, we forgive, we forgive, so we can be free and open to love and remember. We choose and are willing to break the chains of hatred and fear by filling ourselves with love and greater understanding and cooperation and peace. And remembering in this very sacred and important time in life that life is interconnected. We're not separate little pieces of the whole. We are part of a whole tapestry vibration of life. So just knowing all of that goodness is happening in each and every person right here and right now, because each of us has said, yes, I'm ready, I'm open, I am available right here and right now to a greater expression of the truth of who I am, and to see that truth outpicturing in others. I'm here in this moment to do my beautiful up-leveled work, the work of amazing grace, putting my arms around the world and loving one another. And as we sit in that understanding and openness, as we let that vibration work through us here in this moment, I know that each and every one of us is up-leveled to that place of just a new vision, a new understanding, a new awareness right here and right now. And so in this prayer wall that we've created just in our own mind, we just place our own prayer in this energy, this vibration of infinite possibility. Just in our own life right now, our own prayer is the same vibration of God's love. It's right here. We place the prayer in that right now. We feel the vibration of goodness and possibility and oneness. Just lift that prayer into the mind of infinite good. We see it right now done, because we know that as our word is spoken, it is acted upon in the law of mind. We simply say, thank you, God, for all this possibility, for all this truth, all this goodness. And we seal this by saying together, and so it is. I just say thank you all for being part of our amazing community, that we can do this work of love and healing and goodness together. Each one of you makes a huge and gigantic difference. I love you now, and I love you always, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you.